Hi everyone, and we're live again, and we're going to talk tonight with you about what we're going to talk about, all the future, prophecies and things like that.
And predictions.
So we've been making a lot of videos, a couple of videos this week that seem to be quite popular, and we've been getting hundreds of comments, and also the patrons have been making a lot of comments too. So I thought, well, we could maybe answer some of the questions, expand on some of the things we've spoken about, and have your questions ready, and anything you want to know about that topic or any other topic later on when we move on a bit.
Karina, hi both. Nice to start the weekend with you. And you too, Karina. Good morning, Vicky. Where are you from?
Yeah, tell us where you're from, guys. It's always interesting to know where you're from. New York here.
Welcome to you, Sir and Jane from New York, waiting patiently to see your video. Thank you, Beatrice.
Yeah, because you all have to sit and wait while it ticks down.
Hi from Ireland,
yeah.
Michelle. Hi, Nana.
Hot, Tottenham. They're obviously talking about me.
I don't think so, do you?
It's not that hot here. We're supposed to have the hottest day of the year here. It's just sultry,
Lita,
isn't it, really?
Hi from Toronto.
Yeah, a lot of people from Canada. We've got quite a few from South Africa following us too recently, I've noticed too.
Oh, Pinner. We've been to Pinner.
Yeah. I preferably went to Seaside Bible. Niccolo Avocado. I'll answer your question later on. You send it to me by email.
Trina, hi, Jane and Craig from Essex. Hi, Trina.
Yes, we've seen you, Patricia, from Germany before, because I remember there's quite a few of you come regularly, don't you? Also through Facebook as well.
Maryland.
And if you are watching this, do please share it. You can share it now on Facebook, and other people will be able to join us. All your friends will be able to join in if you share it on Facebook or wherever.
Lorraine, hi,
Twitter
Lorraine.
as well. Wareham, Dorset, not far away from us. And of course, if you come here for the first time,
and your dog again, agility bits.
Yeah, if you're watching this for the first time after not having come, maybe not on the live, subscribe to the channel.
Hi.
If you subscribe to the channel, you'll get updates every time
Delissa.
we put one of these videos up.
And Georgia's a beautiful name, isn't it, Delissa? Night Diamonds, I like it. Hello from California. What part of California are you in? It's thundering here in Nottingham.
Yeah, I think we're likely to have thunder
tonight,
here. We're based in Eastleigh.
Oh, Cape Town.
And so it feels like we might get thunder and lightning. Remember doing a few readings when there was thunder and lightning.
Sussex. John. Sheila. Good evening
Hi
from India.
Yes. You've been before, Sheila, haven't you? I remember. Yeah, I always like the people from India
Lisa.
joining us because I find that interesting.
Hi, Lisa.
I was actually reading some
Suzanne.
of the predictions of Vivekananda, one of you put up on the Patron pages. I went and checked him out. Amazing stuff. We could maybe mention that later too. So don't forget to get your questions together while you're joining us. We're just sort of saying hello to everyone. It just gives everybody a chance to get online because you don't all come on at the same time. But have some questions because we're going to be talking about prophecies. And if you've seen the two videos we've made, like Jane and myself made a video sat in the seaside, didn't we?
Yeah.
And there's also one I put up yesterday with my prophecies or my predictions for the long-term future of the world. Update on Trump. Yeah, okay.
Long Island. Diane.
A lot of people want to know an update on Trump. I've seen a few emails coming on it.
Julia. Oh, Apple. Hello, Craig and Jane. Greetings from Switzerland. I love Switzerland.
Well, before we take your questions, there, guys, we've had a few questions coming through the patrons, because those that don't know, patrons on the site are like people that subscribe, but they also kind of like join the community and help us. So you pay a bit each month, and you can help us to move this channel forward, and it helps us ultimately to get a centre together. That's what we're planning to. First a studio, then a full centre. And who knows what from the predictions we've had in our life about what will happen. So a few of you at the patrons have actually already sent me a few questions, and I'll just sort of throw a few at us, Jane, so that what you think about it. So Peter Bray asked, do you foresee a re-emergence of the British Empire or something similar, perhaps including the USA?
What do you think?
Well, that was something I was talking about in my earlier predictions. So I felt that in the future there's going to be a sort of a coming together of the English-speaking democratic countries of the world, really in a response to China. So we're going to get places like New Zealand, which we never mentioned in the prediction. So I mentioned you first, New Zealand, because I know some of you New Zealanders say we never get mentioned. But New Zealand, Canada, Australia, Britain, America, Canada, South Africa are sort of coming together again of those countries to form a sort of a trade agreement, which is almost like a rerunning of, and India, a rerunning of the British Empire in a way, but no longer a British Empire, a conglomerate of trading companies. I think something like that's going to happen. That's something I've been feeling. Have you had any thoughts about something like that?
I do
What's
feel
happen with them?
I do feel Britain will go forward, and I feel that people definitely will be thinking about things rather than investing in China, because people have fear of China.
So you think the same as I, because
Yes,
I've put a lot out there about China.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, on China, people, I think China's a much more dangerous force than people give it credit for. And I was just, like I said, reading up on Vivekananda's predictions. Someone said, oh, your predictions are very similar to Vivekananda's. I didn't realize he made predictions like this. And he said that China's going to not only, it's going to be a sort of between America and China in the future, but China's actually going to sweep across Europe and invade Europe, he said, more or less, if that prediction is right. But then I've not checked out the details.
Well, I think it came through in trance as well, that China was trying to take over the world.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of danger there, which anyway. So so these are the sort of questions we can bring up later on as you come. Nicolo Avocado, who comes on quite a lot, has asked me also, do you ever he was asking about nuclear weapons and things, but he said an interesting about what, because he does a channel about food and things like that, and he asked, do you think in the future what's going to happen in the future with things like food? He said, I haven't got it written down, but he said, will we be doing things like eating pills or artificial foods?
Well, I think it will be in the future, and perhaps going to the next century, that people won't be growing food as such. It'd be pills and things, because we think of the space age, because man's trying to get to the moon all the time and everything, isn't he? So I think it will be pills.
I've always kind of wanted to go vegetarian, but I've not been able to, because I find my blood count goes wrong with vegetarian food. So, but I always thought to myself a long time ago, I wish they could grow meat. You know,
I think they are.
Well, they are.
Yeah, they are.
In fact, Kentucky Fried Chicken are making their chicken nuggets out of artificial meat. You know, it doesn't appeal, does it? Really?
No.
But it's normal meat. I mean, it's just the problem is when you grow meat, as it were, it becomes sludgy because it doesn't exercise, a bit like me.
Well, I think I'd be very cautious in eating things from a laboratory.
A lavatory, I certainly.
A lavatory. Well, you might be. I'm cautious with you.
But I think there will. It's inevitable, isn't it, that food's going to change in the future?
Yeah.
But what is food? You know, I mean, one of the things I would think about this, I see. Okay, I mean, I think we've got to think in terms of spirit and spirituality when we look to the future too, and our attitudes to the future will become, I think, ultimately more spiritual as we enter the next ages. But you think about food, it's more than just chemicals, isn't it? It's got life force in it.
Food has to be prepared with love, because you're putting good energy. If you get somebody just, I can't be bothered, and slap it down, it's got negative energy in. So we need to have fresh food, really, to eat from.
Yeah, we need the sattvic energy, the life force in fresh food. So I think artificially grown food would do something bad to the human consciousness. And like you say, it puts energy in. You know, make the food in an angry state of mind, and the food itself becomes poisonous.
Yes.
You know. Another one before we go into your questions. We'll have your questions soon, guys. So keep putting them up, because we've got Domenico in the background, keeping an eye on them. We'll take your questions in a minute. But John Ewart on the patrons also said, when will UFO disclosure and declassification of free energy eventually occur in the controlled media, and which country will lead it? There's a couple of pretty, assumptions there that there's free energy has been discovered but not brought out into the world. That's quite a big sort of thought on the web. Any thoughts about that,
Well,
Jay?
I do believe there are UFOs. I do feel we mustn't be so ignorant to think we're the only life force on the planet. There's other planets yet to be discovered. And I know Sharavana Baba is a guru I follow, says that originally all come from Mars.
Yeah, there was one Nadi out there, because I was going about Nadis, but said that a UFO would be discovered uncovered in Eastern Europe. But that was a pretty dubious source, actually, when I did a bit of research on it. But I think we will. I certainly think we've had contact with people from previous.
I mean, I think we need
early history.
I think these ley lines that we have, because and you think of the Bermuda Triangle and places like that where there's energy forces. I've actually been on a boat where it's gone through the Bermuda Triangle, and you definitely feel a power and an energy there.
So, what's the relationship with that with UFOs then?
Well, all these things, all energy, and I believe there are UFOs, and I believe that we're watched all the time.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, but I think my feeling is, I mean, I see it everywhere. There's references throughout all ancient history to this sort of snakes and dragons. There's all this, and they're always the bringers of knowledge all the way through. So it makes make sure you subscribe. Good one, Niccolo. Nico. Yeah, but all through the whole lot, there's this reference to serpent people, and in India I was really interested. I started trying to do some research because I was writing about the snake sort of ceremonies that we did in India, why we did them, and I'm putting this in the next book, by the way. But there's so many references to this. I had no idea that there was so much written about this idea that there were people that we actually went to war with, and we stole their knowledge, and then we turned it against them and destroyed them in some kind of different state of, it wasn't like a Star Wars thing. It was more like a consciousness fight.
Yeah. Well, you're not stealing my knowledge, Craig. That's for sure.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think there's been ancient aliens here?
I think there is something in it. If you go back to the cavemen, they have all these drawings on the wall and all sort of symbolism. So I think it's got something to do with that.
So we've got some interest. We'll go on to your questions now, guys. But thank you for the patrons that sent us some of the questions here. My neighbours were having coffee in the kitchen, and the Greys were just standing outside in the patio door, observing them. Do you think aliens will reveal themselves in the near future?
Well, how do we know there's not aliens already here, but in human form?
It could be. You see, it's one of those unanswerable questions until you actually have some actual proof yourself. I mean, I think there is a lot of, like I said, I think there's a lot of proof from ancient times there. I worry. Most of the stuff I see on the internet, I see stuff with people watching lights come up on the sky where they all gather together and they watch the light come out. I think, well, some guys in the distance, they're letting a hot air balloon up, obviously, and everybody makes a wow man sort of thing. So I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, and that's what's damaging any real understanding of these things. I've not actually felt aliens when we do mediumship. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't we connect with them when they're tuning into spirit and you're giving someone a proof of someone from the afterlife? Why wouldn't we also get aliens connecting with it? They never have for me. And the people I've seen do that are nutters.
Do you think telepathically they can then?
That's what I'm saying. Could they connect with it? I'm sure they could connect with us telepathically. So I don't know, but I think there's definitely something in the background there. But I think we go, in that video I made earlier on, I suggested in there that we will get to a point in our evolution where the material world is almost completely different because our consciousness has changed so much, we can materialize a world around us. A bit like the way they describe the spirit world, that we will be in a completely different state of capable of changing things.
Consciousness.
So yeah, because consciousness being the most powerful force, So if you were in a highly advanced from another planet, you'd have done that. You'd be different to us. You'd be different to us in a vast ways that we couldn't even comprehend. Do you think we might get a chip implanted?
And I wonder what she means by that. Does she mean in the future?
What she's probably talking about things like the
Not
people
Bill
worry
Gates.
about Bill Gates and people
Yeah,
putting
and
chips
the-
in vaccines.
I don't
People
think that.
worry about chips implanted to mind control
I
things.
don't believe
They
that.
watch. There's a lot of science fiction out there where there's chips implanted in people's mind, Matrix sort of type things. You know, I don't think there'd be that type of thing. I think there's a lot of those things
I think
come from
I
fear.
think the chips I see for the future is like people with arthritis that will control it. You know, the joints and things like that. The technology is changing all the time. I feel that will come to light in the future.
And what about if you put a hormone into a person's body? You could change a person's mood, couldn't you?
Well,
You see, I can see why people would have a lot of issues with things like that.
women have hormones that change their moods.
Yeah, and should we interfere with things like that?
No, not.
You know, this is the danger and why people are fearful of those type of things. But I certainly think there'll be drug deliveries that way. In fact, I think we'll see incredible advances with DNA that could make a whole thing in itself.
Well, it has been known to clone
So what
dogs, you know, pets
Yeah.
and things.
Well,
and
someone's there
DNA.
asking, what do you think is going to be the big leaps forward in the next 3 years?
Oh, there's bound to be new advances, isn't it? In the next
Well,
3
one of the
years.
things I feel, I think the most important advance we could possibly make, really, would be if we could get what they call cold fission, that we could get energy from nothing, 0 point energy. They reckon that the universe is structured in such a way that we could pull infinite amounts of energy from this. You think about it, in a physical terms, all of this is atoms, and all atoms are energy. You know, it's all energy. It's all just energy in a different form. So there's no reason we couldn't have infinite energy, any amount of energy. So we could say you could take salt water, turn it into normal water, and put it on the deserts and completely fertilize the whole desert, couldn't we? Or you could think, oh, we're gonna change Mars. We could send machines up there that could just endlessly keep churning it around until you terrestrialize Mars. You know?
I think the fertility for women will change because I feel there will be a microchip, and that might be going, if you like, from the pineal gland or that, because it's well-known fact that controls women's fallopian and ovaries, and I think it'd be so much advanced then as well.
And I think also in the next 3 years we might hear some stuff also about, you mentioned about cloning, because I got a feeling there's been some experiments done with cloning that we've not heard about. You know, I mean, some places like North Korea and things like that. You know, you get somebody like Kim Jong-un, and you think, well, what if we cloned him? You know, or and what about if they started cloning spiritual leaders and things like that? I think we'll find something like that as well.
I think King John would like to be like James Bond, wouldn't he?
Yeah. I also get a feeling there's been something strange like that going on in Japan. I don't know why I want to say Japan, but I just get the feeling that something's been odd with cloning in Japan. Because sometimes you kind of get the feelings of these things when people ask you the questions, don't they? Okay. Any more questions?
I think in the future they will discover rare species of plants in the sea, the bottom of the sea, that will cure cancers and things.
Yeah. Now,
Definitely.
I've answered this question time after time. Who do you think will win the US election in November?
Well, I think people are getting very fed up with Trump.
You think the opposite to me then?
Yes.
Oh, because I've been saying right the way along that I feel Trump is going to win the next election. I said earlier also.
I said people were getting fed up with him. I didn't say.
You've always said he would. You thought he would win the election as well. You said it on camera a few times, haven't you? Even, but I mean, I feel he will win the election. I did say the other a month ago or more. I said that they would try to stop the election. They tried to stop it. Now, apparently, you can't stop it. But I said he would stop the election. So he might find an excuse to stop the election. And I think that trying to stop the election, even if you don't succeed, will gain quite a lot of popular support, because it will look like it's the deep state manipulating people.
I can never see Hillary Clinton being a president.
I always felt with Hillary Clinton, she might take a very strange path in the future. I think there's, I mean, I don't know full thing about American politics, really. I mean, I
Not
just
Americans,
get things. We're not
are we?
Americans. We don't see the news from America. But I've always felt exceptionally bad with that woman. I know, and I think there's an awful lot going on, particularly with Bill Clinton too. And there's some horrible scandal that's going to come out with Bill Clinton in
Well,
the
we
future.
know that.
But there's already things, but something really horrible, which is going to bring in much, much more than ever been come to the light so far. There's something else there. There's something really big. Your thoughts on USA? Should we start stockpiling on medication and food?
Well, I think they've got it quite badly in America, haven't they?
They have, and I think it's going to get a lot worse in America.
I think be sensible, because we should have enough food to go around for everybody.
I think we're going to have another. We've had a bit of a lockdown in the north of England already, but here in the UK, semi-lockdown. I think we're going to have a lockdown all around soon again. It'll be again in sections. This is what it said, the prediction some while ago, that there'll be a second wave. The second wave wouldn't be quite as bad, and then we'd be coming out of lockdown one bit at a time, which was said before. You will remember if you follow this, and it is kind of happening. But I think we're going to have more lockdowns. So
I think we won't see the end of this till next year, to springtime, with this virus, to be honest.
Yeah, in the human population, I don't think we'll ever get rid of the virus. I think it will be with us permanently. I mean, one of the thoughts I had, this is more my thoughts rather than a prediction, but I saw it in cats. They were talking about that cats could catch it, and we've seen it in the zoos and things like that. Well, we'd never wipe it out from the cat or the lion population or whatever, would we? So it's always going to be there, ready to spring back at us. So the only way out of it would be first by quarantining, and that would stop it. But as soon as you take the foot off the brake, we're back on full speed again. So we're going to be subjected to a vaccine with it, and that's the only way out, as far as I can see. So I think it's going to be there for a while, and I think this is going to be something we'll get more of, not just with this virus, but I feel we're going to get more, particularly bacterial problems as opposed to viruses. Well, there's something going to come up with that.
Or we might even have bacteria and things coming from space, not just from a laboratory in China.
Yeah,
definitely I see that. And also I think there's a recession coming. So it'd be the worst recession in 300 years.
Well, someone's been kind enough to share with us the idea they just heard an ice cream van outside. They haven't heard one all year.
Oh.
Yay. I suppose that's an optimistic sort of thing, actually. Yeah, we have a Mr. Marucci that comes around here, and his ice cream van comes around. Lovely ice cream, actually, too. So that's good. Thank you for your contribution. Any big natural disasters, hurricane, landslides, earthquakes, nuclear?
Well, when we got landslides, I see Japan when that comes up there, because I can see things and properties going down rivers and things.
Well, that's interesting, because you haven't seen my video that I made yesterday,
Yeah.
but I was talking about the ice. Well, in fact, I wasn't seeing it soon. I felt this was further along. I saw a huge flood in China and the Three Gorges Dam coming down. It was China, but you said Japan, so we could be seeing similar things there with that.
Volcanoes.
I think environmental disasters,
Mother Earth fighting
are
back,
just going to be commonplace. I was saying, I felt in my video, I was saying I felt that the Earth's mantle would heat up and we'd be moving around a lot more, and that we're going to see much more earthquakes and all the rest of it. And a lot of people are now talking about Edgar Cayce's prediction.
Oh, that's true.
Who said that we have an Earth's magnetic field that every 500,000 years or so will flip, and when that changes all the inner processes of the Earth and the movement of the magma underneath the Earth, would cause massive earthquakes and volcanoes and things.
Axis of the Earth splitting.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that Cayce said, who's worth looking at. I'm not sure. Do you think Cayce's got that right?
The Sleeping Prophet, definitely.
He was a clever man.
Very clever.
And someone else from the patrons again was talking to me saying, will Atlantis rise again and Lemuria rise again? Because this is one of the things that Cayce said. Have your thoughts about that first. Is anything, because I've got my ideas about this, do you think anything that's true or not?
I think it will in time, but I think this caution to the wind that I'm feeling, I don't know why I'm getting danger, and I keep getting Egypt I see that very clearly.
I made a prediction that Egypt and Turkey would
Craig.
have a war in the last video.
I
Right?
haven't seen it.
I know you've not seen
I
it,
see
and that's
Egypt
why I find it's interesting that you're saying that.
and Israel.
But as for Atlantis and Lemuria, you know, I've spoken a lot about that. I've been very, very interested in this idea that there was a flood centuries, millions of years possibly ago. Cayce said it was millions. Graham Hancock seems to talk about 10,000 years ago. But there were other civilizations then, and that Atlantis and Lemuria were great civilizations. And there's definite proof of that. Again, when you do plenty, you don't have to do much research. You only have to scratch the surface, and you find it in the old Sanskrit texts. So yeah, why couldn't they rise again? And why? And I think we could find proof of those civilizations. But they were civilizations that they said didn't build in the same way we did. They were civilizations where higher consciousness was the role, you know. So they didn't need to build. But who knows? Hopefully, we will find something for that.
Yeah, and I think Mount Etna and volcano Vesuvius, we'll get rumblings there.
Yeah. So Sheila's also asked. I know you haven't seen the video, but I've also said about a gas cloud in China that would travel south and head towards India. That is something that was in my personal predictions in my nadis that it's intrigued me. I've felt that myself lots of times that there's something there, and I've identified it as China because I also now recently spotted something in the Puranas, which is an old Indian text that said about that, and I thought, that's what I was picking up, and that's what it was trying to tell me. So I feel it's been indicated as being from China, and my thoughts were it's not necessarily nuclear, but it's like a huge chemical thing. And that's as much as I can say. But the trajectory of it would go south, I felt, heading towards India. But I think it's more China would suffer from it more than India. But because it's quite north of China, I felt.
Now, I don't see that, Craig, but I do see there will be a superhuman species developed.
Are you sure you haven't watched my video?
I never watch you all the time, Craig. I don't watch your videos. But there'll be a new superhuman that I see predicted, and it's going to link up with the army, ready for war.
You're thinking different to me, because my video I spoke about that in the far, far future of evolution, that the objective of existence is the evolving of consciousness, and that what will happen is consciousness will develop a state where it can be stronger than matter to the point that we can materialize and we can change the world around us, and that there would be walking the earth sort of superhuman type people, not like supermen like Powell Zach sort of things, but more like the sort of the super beings, sort of like we see in people like Sai Baba and that, but each person being like that. And there would be many people like that on the earth, and it would rub off on certain people. It's like they can transfer the consciousness to others. And also, so that's what I was saying.
With these superhumans, they'll be able to reflect their consciousness and their dreams on the wall. I see that in the future.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, I was talking about telepathy, but I was saying that this would be beyond what we can possibly conceive at the moment. How could we conceive it?
Right, agility bits. Would you like some agility bits?
What does he mean by agility bits?
That's a doggy. Clever dog.
Do you think the predictions are set in stone, or are there remedies that would change the course?
It's karmic.
Question,
karmic.
Yeah, good question. Because
your actions.
Don't you see, I've always believed in this idea that, okay, our karma is set. If you take it in your own personal life, certain things are going to happen in your life, like it or not, because you brought that karma from a previous life. And so what we're going to do, we're just going to suffer it. But if you do, from everything I've learned from the things where I went to India and that, is you do certain powerful things at the right time. These can be ritualistic type things, such as a homa, which is like a fire ceremony, or doing something charitable, such as giving to the children or buying a cow for someone, or doing these other things, particularly if it's done astrologically at the correct time with the energies right. It will change the course of your destiny, because So, for example, when you give a person a cow, that person will be thinking, oh, he was a nice person. That man was a nice person. He did that. He's changed my life. And you might not be thinking it all the time, but you've not only have you changed their life, but you've set up like a thought pattern of good intent towards you, you know? So, okay, so you kind of gained at it by giving something to someone that giving something to someone else. I know we give without expectation to receive, but at the same time, it naturally does give you something back to you anyway. It's the law of nature. It's the way it works. So we can change the negativity. So say, for example, a car accident that's going to happen to me. That car accident might just be a bump or might just be a scratch or might not be anything at all because you've set something up that breaks that. And mantras do the same thing. Certain holy texts, reading certain holy texts like the Ramayana can do the same sort of thing. And so why can't we do it with the world? Couldn't we sort of change the way events are going to happen in the world just by all of us thinking more positively? I mean, all you guys are watching this. There's quite a few of you now watch it. If you just finish, after you finish watching this program, you just hold a positive thought of something for the world. And it, you know, how many people does it take to set in motion positivity for something really, for the world to be a much more beautiful place? Because I feel all these worrying things that are going to be happening to the world and so forth, the goal of it all is for us to awaken, to become fully awake human beings, isn't it? To become spirits, to become gods, ultimately. So our thoughts are leading us there. So if we can think like that, we will awaken a better future for the world.
You said that, I didn't say that.
What do you mean that the UK will be like a state of the US? You see, you've not watched my video. I said that ultimately, Britain will become so tied up with America, both in trade and military and politics and culture, that ultimately the British and I feel that the British and American systems are going to finally merge. Not in my lifetime, but I think in the future, I see Britain becoming one with America. That's one of my predictions that I made.
That feels very dangerous to me, Craig, you saying that.
Yeah, you got any thoughts about it?
Well, I can't see that at the moment, but I just feel that each country has something to give. So all the universe, all the countries should be as one.
And I also said, though, but I felt that each country should be proud of being its own nation, too.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, not nationalism, not I'm better than you, but to be proud of your nation's culture. You know, I think those are important things, you know, in the world. Do you think the Netherlands will be affected by climate change, given partially back to the sea, bringing partially back to the sea? I've not seen anything about Holland really in my thoughts. Have you had any thoughts
No,
about
I
that?
haven't.
No, I can't really answer that one. No, I don't get any particular thoughts about that one. So yeah, sorry, I can only give what we got, and I haven't had anything come to me in my meditation. So you see, the thing is, people think when we do these predictions, we kind of know it all. You know, they think we know everything, and everything he tells us. Sometimes it comes, and sometimes it don't.
It just happens when it's meant to happen.
Yeah.
And when you do predictions, you see the pictures, and you got clear in your mind and feelings, and you sense it.
Like sometimes it comes spontaneously. Like, for example, Ian, my brother, said to me the other night, "Who's going to win the Tyson match?" And I said, "Oh, 5th round Tyson, right?" And I said, "Oh, did I say Tyson goes down? I can't remember." But I said 5th round. It's all going to happen in the 5th round. And boom. Now, whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. But sometimes it comes spontaneously, and sometimes you get nothing at all. That's why when people say, "Who's going to win this match or that match?" No. And also, I think my brain says, "What's the point?" You know, I'm not interested in football. That's not going to help the world. You know. So, what's your thoughts on Michelle Obama? Any chance she would run for the presidency in the future?
I can't see that.
You can't see that.
I don't feel she will. I feel she'd be very good at writing and books, and very good. I feel she's quite a strong lady.
I think you're right there. I think you're absolutely bang on. I don't think she will run. No, I don't think she will run. No, and like you say, writing. No, I think you're 100% of that. I couldn't add much to that.
I don't think I know.
Yeah, yeah.
I
sure.
know.
Yeah. Well, actually, when it comes to it, we usually we come to the same conclusions. Like you haven't watched my video, you know, and yet you're
Well, I
saying
haven't
things.
watched his video because I see him 24/7.
Yeah, I know. I don't
What's the
blame you.
point?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't expect you to. But the thing is, we do come to the same conclusions, even though we've not talked about it. So I kind of find it interesting because it kind of clarifies, because you know you never know when you do these things, because like I say, we're not 100% accurate. I mean, we get things pretty. I mean, those that follow us know we get quite a lot right, more than you could way more than average, but sometimes we don't, you know. And so, but we're fallible, and I think you have to accept it's kind of like you can focus your sixth sense on these things, and you pick up quite a lot of information, but you don't always see clearly. It's all clear, but I'm clouded, you know. That's how I think of it. So what do you think for the future of blacks in America and the world? Thoughts?
Well, I feel they're just as important as the whites.
Of course they are.
And I feel that.
What about their position in society?
Well, I think it's going to be accepted more. It should be.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a young man called Jacob who wants to be a professional, what do you call it, netball player. He likes
basketball.
Yeah, what's his name? That famous Jordan, a follower of it, and he's absolutely brilliant. But he gets held back because this country in the UK won't allow him to come here. He's tried, and the Spirit World said it would be on the 6th application that they'll get in. You know, and I feel.
But that's one thing, isn't it? I mean, okay, that's a field that black people have done very well in, basketball. But really, we want them heads of industry too, don't we? We want to give them a chance. I mean, they became president of the USA, so that's a pretty good start. I think.
Oh, Craig, there'll be a black pope too.
Oh yeah, there's
going to be a black pope.
But someone made a prediction of that, didn't they? There was a prediction of a black pope by Nostradamus, I think.
There will definitely be a black pope, and it's going to change the world.
Yeah, that would be a really good place to start, wouldn't it? Because if you think about it, Christianity is very, very strong in Africa and South America nowadays. So a black pope would make a lot of sense. So there's a prediction. I think I've heard that one from before, but I'm not sure. But there's a good point. Prospects for the housing market in the UK are fall later this year into next. Thanks.
It's picked up, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we're selling our house at the moment, our daughter's place that she's been in, and the market has shot up quite a lot actually because of the stamp duty thing, which I did predict, and the Nadi also predicted and said you'd do a good deal at a good time. But I do think it'll drop again. I think this will be for a while
because there's a big recession coming.
Yeah, I think. But house prices are off. My feeling is that house prices generally, they're not going to go through the floor because, you know, with a house you've got something tangible. With other things you haven't got something tangible. As Manan used to say, there's always money in bricks and mortar. You know, I mean there is because so I don't think house prices usually only go really through the floor if there's something really major happening, like a war, possibly coronavirus is one of those ones, an unknown. But no, I don't think. I think it's always wise to keep your money in houses, and I think there'll probably be a dip next year. My feeling is, but the big dip's going to be in people being unemployed, and
it'll be the month of January.
And there's going to be a bigger and bigger division between those that have and those that have not, and particularly, the division between people that have housing and those that don't have housing. It's a pretty dangerous thing to have in society. Because the young people have to fight like hell to get a deposit together. I mean, it was quite a lot in our day, proportional to wages, but now it's just got out of control.
Stupid.
And I think they've got to do something about that. And also these big, these are ones again, the Googles of this world, who, when we talk about the divisions in society and the rich and the poor, I mean, I think that is the most someone behind you. That's the most dangerous thing on earth at the moment is Google, Facebook, YouTube, all of it, who have the monopolies. We have these world monopolies. And I did say in my predictions last year, you'll remember, that Google was going to be brought to book and the others soon. And it looks like they're doing that in America at the moment. And I feel that what they're going to do with them ultimately is break them up, and break them up, first of all, into nationally. So google.co.uk will be one country, one organization, and google.com will be another one under sort of an umbrella type thing. But they'll also tax them on the domain traffic to the domain itself. Like you pay rates on the high street. If you've got a high footfall, you pay high rates. If you've got a high traffic on a domain, you pay rates. That's the sort of way I think it's going to go. Can we talk about the painting hang out behind?
I don't think you can.
Okay, I can. I think you could probably say more than I can, Jane.
It's Three Sleeping Angels, and it had been a Victorian painting, and I believe it was somebody called Russell, Albert Russell.
Was it?
Pre-Raphaelite,
Yeah,
if you like.
Remember in Mexico. I know it's hung in a museum in Mexico.
It's a pre-Raphaelite.
Yeah, someone else asked about that last week. We should have looked it up, shouldn't we? Really, I'm just seeing if I can find anything out.
It's just something I saw and I liked.
Good choice, though, isn't it? It's a nice picture. Of course, you don't get everything correct. Neither do lawyers, doctors, teachers, etc. Seems ridiculous that everyone expects perfection from psychics. Actually, that's a nice comment, don't you think?
Very nice, yeah.
Because, they say, oh, Jean Dixon got this right, that right, that right. But she got the football results wrong on such and such a television program. I remember some skeptics saying that. And I thought, well, that's just not on. That's just not fair, because, you get an awful lot right.
Well, I can remember when we done a BBC programme called Predictions, that our predictions were locked into the Bank of England, and we got every single one right up against journalists that had to do predictions.
Yeah, it was what did they call it? Psychics against
journalists.
Yeah, it was not journalists. They had a good name for it, actually. Not sleuths.
Prediction show.
Yeah. Anyway, it was good, and we beat the journalists, didn't we? We got more right in a year than they. We beat the experts with our predictions.
I don't think we could really answer that.
Yeah, I was got a bit worried about.
Are they? Because we would be libelous. So we'll let nature take its course.
Yeah, but I think there will be some big names out there with
in
that.
The Black Book.
You'll notice sometimes in our predictions we might hint at something, but you've got to be a bit cautious nowadays what you say, because it can affect people's careers. Yeah. Okay. Africa is being colonized by China communists, so I wonder religion will play a role for poor people. Religion will play a role for poor. So I wonder if religion will play a role for poor people. I don't get the religion bit, but this is one of the things I said in my YouTube one yesterday, that Africa's going to default on Chinese money, because places like, some people, since I did that, I noticed in the comments, and thank you for putting comments, and put some comments here if you've got any questions as well, and don't forget to follow this channel while I remind you if you're new here. But when you put the comments, I do go through and read them all, and every single one, and it's some writing from South Africa saying about that, the communist, the Chinese money in South Africa is absolutely undermining the society there, and it's undermining a lot of the more corrupt, whether South Africa is or not, but the more corrupt governments throughout Africa. And I think Africa's in real serious problems. And I feel in the future that, that those Chinese influences there, everybody's turning a blind eye to it, because it's nice to get a bit of money and spend it all, but that's all they've got power in that country to the point that I think this Africa is going to be in serious problem, and particularly South Africa. And this is where I feel South Africa's way out in some respects is to join with that kind of group of other countries of democracies that are going to start working together, with more connection between Australia and Canada and America and Britain and things. And I think it will be will help South Africa, which is teetering on the edge, I feel, at the moment, of complete chaos there. I'm sorry to say that, because I know a lot of people are fearful of that in South Africa, but I feel, the world's attention has come off South Africa and it should be on there. When will be the World War III? There's an assumption that there's a World War III in that question. Do you think there'll be a World War III?
I don't think it'd be like people think it will be. But I kept seeing 2027 that there could be a fear of a World War III.
Yeah, that's actually
But the world isn't going to end, I can assure you.
2025, by some accounts, is the last ending of Kali Yuga, some say, which is the Dark Age, and the beginning of the New Yuga. And from 2025, we can expect crises, because when the two ages change, there's also this energy that's changing that can cause conflict in the world. So 2027 could be a period of energetically a bad period. And I've said that there's going to be I feel there's going to be major problems in the Middle East. There always is, but I'm seeing the rise of Turkey I talked about, and that Turkey will become kind of replacing Iran in its power. Though it will broker a deal ultimately with Israel. But I think there's going to be major conflicts there again soon, because Russia interfering. And I see that America and Russia will come to blows over there, and of course in the seas off China. So we will see what looks like close to full scale war.
Genghis Khan, eat your heart out.
Yeah, in fact, yeah. Well, that's the other one. The spirit of Genghis Khan sweeps across Europe. Some have said. Aloha from Hawaii. Oh yes, that's good. You're
Brian Sneezy Channel.
You must be the middle of the night there in Hawaii. Absolutely. So, what do you think of all the crazy ghost shows and paranormal craze on TV? All hype, or any of them legitimate?
It's TV. What more can I say?
Any more thoughts on that?
Well, I think you've got to actually catch things on camera, apparitions and things. I'm not saying there aren't ghosts or residue of ghosts, but most of the TV shows, it is all hype, isn't it?
Well, when we did that one on the BBC, and we went to Athelstan House, and some other medium had been in there doing crackpot things with monkeys, right? There was some of the crew that were there and on other shows said, "Oh, I worked on the same program as these mediums, and said, well, you guys don't fake it up, do you? Why don't you fake it up?" I said, "Well, we don't fake it up because we're genuine with what we do." And it seemed to be as if it was the default thing to throw stones, to look things up on the internet and check what's going to be, and feed the medium information before they go into the next room. And it was just blatant cheating all the way through. And these were top shows. Well, I'm not going to mention the name or the people involved, but and this applied to so many locations we've been to. And when we've done theatres, the things that some of these top mediums do with, getting all the information in advance of the people they know in the audience. And I think, well, what's the point of any of us mediums working when we're up against this sort of cheating, both in the theatre and in the ghost shows, And because the TV producers, they don't care. They just want to get ratings. That's all they're interested. They're just interested in everybody piling in and go, "Oh, isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing?" But actually, it's just nonsense. And the problem is the truth is so much more powerful, when you can prove there's life after death. But, of course, all these idiots spoil it for the real mediums. Most of the mediums in spiritualism who make no money out of these things and struggle to get to the churches and to do their demonstrations, who make nothing from it, and don't get even the kudos from it. I mean, they give fantastic, powerful evidence of proof of life after death. And then these bloody idiots go on these shows and they cheat, and it just undermines all that good work done by all those decent people.
Right.
So anyway, so that's what I think.
Right, Mike was saying, with the unrest around the globe right now, have you received messages from the other side regarding this? The only message I got from my spirit guides and my helpers or doorkeepers is that everything will be all right in the future, and people won't be so selfish, people will come together, but there is fear of recession, and everything will all come together karmically. So have no fear.
So you see a good future ahead.
I see there's a clearing, and I think karmically all these things have had to happen.
Yeah.
And like with Mother Earth, and I feel that humanity needs to recognize what's the point of being here. It's not all about materialistic things.
I see that everything is a divine plan. Everything is part of a divine plan. I'm not talking about God in the sky type of thing. I'm talking about the evolution of consciousness, the evolution of the universe becoming aware, perhaps. Perhaps, the universe realizing that it exists and it cannot fail. Ultimately, I mean, Einstein used to say the most important question about the future is it benign? Is it good? Is it going to hurt us? And it is. I think you can sense it, you can feel it, you know it in your heart that ultimately it's going to be fine. Next one. Do you want to read it, Jane?
No, you do it.
Because of COVID, the world will become more spiritual in what way? There are many spiritual systems, as we've said both of us before about. We feel it's a spiritual thing ultimately, bringing people together.
Awakening.
So you think it's what? An awakening?
Yes.
And what do we mean by that? Just to clarify for people what we think with that. Awakening, become more aware of humanity and being good to each other.
Well, it's a realization, isn't it? A realization of the human race.
I think it's going to shake people a bit, and that's what, particularly when you start getting on to, we've had 6 months of more of fear from it. We have nearly a year of relentless fear from COVID. So it's got to start making an effect. I think in some ways it brings a lot of people to an awakening. I think it's making us also think about how selfish society is, I think, too, because there's two attitudes to it, isn't there? There's those that take the attitude of let's all work together and fight this thing. Let's have new heroes like the NHS. Let's protect the weak. Let's protect the people that have type 1 diabetes who are susceptible. Let's protect the poor who are from ethnic groups that are not getting the proper medical attention. Let's protect the old, the vulnerable, And then there's the others that say, well, if you're going to get it, you're going to get it. I don't care. I'm not wearing no mask. I'm going out. I'm going to do my own thing. If I got it, it's only mild. What do I care? Well, of course, you don't care because you're going to pass it on to all those poor, weak and vulnerable. So we've got the selfishness side and we've got the working together that I'll go without myself and I'll make a few changes in my life so that I can help others, So that's the awakening on one level. But then also, perhaps it will also, some people will start to think more in terms of, maybe we should be thinking much more about the whole world like this. Maybe we should start thinking about the environment like this, Maybe we should start thinking about what we really, really want from life. We've all got quite a lot. We've got a nice house here. We're comfortable, but it's very hard to think that there's also people around the world that are struggling hard, even to make the basics in life. So I think that's the consciousness that's going to come in the world, So your last question's coming up, folks. Okay, and if you're enjoying this channel, do follow it and subscribe. You've got a little bell thing at the bottom of the screen there. When you subscribe, you click that little bell thingy, you'll get updates every week. And if you really enjoy it too, you can also join as a patron too, because when you're a patron, you can actually support the channel. You'll get more contact with me. I don't think that's worth much, but you can come and have more contact with me. And we put other little videos and all the sort of things that Jane and I lifestyle and things like that in the background. And don't forget also, we're on telly at the moment. Go and see Dark Prophecies on The Unexplained. It's on Sky, I think, but it's on the channel there, The Unexplained, and you can see it up on the screen now of that program about Nostradamus and a show I did with them. Right. So yeah. So that's next. Let's have the final questions now soon. And again, like you said, like the message is saying there. Thank you for putting that reminder up, Domenico. If you want to become a patron, come and have a look because it does help the channel. The coronavirus has stopped us doing what we want to do, but we're gathering some money together now, and we hope to have a proper studio soon. So we're going to have full sets and everything soon, and guests as well. And if anybody wants to be a guest on this show, get in contact through my website at psychics.co.uk. You'll be able to click the little links at the top because I put the you get a little comment thing that goes across, and it's in the description below. Go and have a look and get in touch with me if you something interesting you'd like to share with us. So, you know, we've had people out there talking about UFOs. Have any of you been abducted or got expertise in that? We'll have you on the show. If you've had a near-death experience, if you've had anything really interesting in your life, and you know, you might have had tremendous proof of some sort, get in touch, and we'll consider you for becoming a guest on the show one week. Will India and China go to war, and when?
Well,
I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to answer that because I've already said it.
Yeah.
Well, it was on my other video, and I felt that India and China will go to war. I said that China, not now, it's not soon, but it's ahead. There's going to be big conflict between China and India, and I've always felt that India is going to grow and grow and grow financially. It will take on it takes on the materialism of the West, but it transforms it. A lot of things come into India and they get Indianized. They become part of this incredible culture in India. And I think Western materialism will go there, but it will be transformed, and India will be even greater than it was in the past. But China and India, there's a threat, because India will expand. I think it will become what was once the old Bharat. How do you see Vegan revolution in West? Do you see this may lead to future spiritualism?
Not all spiritualist.
No, spirit by spiritualism, they mean spiritual mindedness, not spiritualism, the movement. I mean, do you think there's a big movement towards veganism? What do you think about that? Well, I can't really comment, really, because I'd be a hypocrite to comment, because I eat meat, and I try to reduce the amount of meat I eat, and I think that for compassionate reasons. But I also feel that sometimes some people's bodies, I think mine is one of them, needs it, because we work on such a high level all the time, particularly with the mediumship. I feel, though most mediums are actually vegetarians, but it's got to be a good thing, I think. I think it's probably going to have to be an absolute necessity as time goes on, because how are we going to feed the world if we don't feed it through something that is more sustainable? And I hope that the diets of the world will change. Nick, be a guest. Oh, Niccolo Avocado. Well, yes. You're welcome. Yeah, we could do a whole food one, couldn't we? Yeah, if you like. You know my email address. Yeah, so they've got a fan there. We got both fans there. I love you guys. You give me so much peace, and I consider you living angels.
Oh, thank you.
If only you knew.
He's the devil, I'm the angel.
Thank you, Craig and Jane. Thank you, guys. It's nice of you to join us like this. Have a lovely weekend. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's fantastic the way we've got so many of you actually are really genuinely supporting us, and we do appreciate it. It's all nice. These are good vibes, you know. Keep them coming, because it keeps me young. I think all this good energy you send to me.
He's blinded by the truth.
Yeah, and then we have got to know a lot of you too, and like I said, we do read all your comments. So I can't answer them all because there's just so many, because we get them coming in by email, patrons and everything, you know, and Facebook as well. But keep connecting with us, and we'll try to give you shout outs when we can, and you know, you what you're asking us through those comments does also influence what we have to say. So keep posting your comments, and don't forget to follow this channel.
That's nice, Sheila.
Very grounding. I mean, I would have thought we were completely the opposite to that. I would have thought we were completely bonkers.
Well, you might be, but I'm certainly not. You speak for yourself.
Say, these two nutters.
You nutty, I'm not. I'm the same.
Have a nice weekend. Yeah, hopefully it's going to be sunny, as long as we don't get a lockdown.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you,
Larry.
Guys. Okay, well, we better say bye to you now then, and thank you for all joining us like you have, and all your nice comments, and we're going to say bye now. So see you soon. Bye for now.
Bye. And you, Nick.
Yes. Don't forget to subscribe.
Bye.